New to Formula One?
Or just as obsessed as we are?
Welcome back to another episode of Formation Lab,
where we teach you all the dirty details that you need to know to be the best Formula One fan that you can be.
You are live with the Hornsby sisters. I'm Katie.
And I'm Megan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Formation Lab. I'm pretty excited about this one because we are going to do a 2021 mid-season race recap. So everyone who's out there, everyone who's listening, whether you're new, whether you've been watching, whatever it might be, you'll understand where we are in the season so that hopefully you can hop in and start watching races and getting to know the drivers and the teams and what's going on. So let's talk about 2021 so far. It's been an incredible season filled with drama. And we've seen a true title fight between Lewis Hamilton of Mercedes and Max Verstappen of Red Bull. We saw Aston Martin's first win, the shortest race in F1 history, the introduction of sprint races, and a shoey win. How this is going to work is I'm going to start at the back of the grid and work my way through the standings of the Drivers' Championship and just quick chat about each driver, what's going on this year, what might be going on next year, and that's what we're going to do. I'm going to hop right in and start at the back of the grid with our Haas rookies. We have Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin, and they replaced longtime teammates Roman Grosjean and Kevin Magnussen at the start of the 2021 season. Mick Schumacher is the son of seven-time world champion Michael Schumacher and won the 2020 F2 championship. His teammate, Nikita Mazepin, performed well in F3, taking second in the championship in 2018, but really struggled in his F2 season. He's not a fan favorite due to his, how do I put this nicely, his questionable actions off the track that Haas has actually called his actions abhorrent. There's mixed reviews on Nikita, and this year Haas is way further back in the grid than years prior due to a team strategy decision to not make any technological advances on the 2021 car, but instead put all the focus on the 2022 car. Both of these drivers will return to drive for Haas in 2022. Up next is Alfa Romeo's Antonio Giovinazzi, or better known as Italian Jesus, and Italian Jesus has been trying to ignore the rumors as he continues to fight to keep his seat in F1, because right now his contract is up at the end of the season, and as a former Ferrari junior driver, he went into the season knowing that he had to perform at the highest caliber to keep his seat. His recent qualifying performances give us Italians hope that we're going to retain our one prized Italian driver on the grid. However, as of right now, no decisions have been made, but I'm not sure if it's looking so promising. Our Iceman, Kimi Räikkönen, announced that he will be retiring from F1 at the end of this season. His 18 and a half seasons in Formula One have had some iconic moments. From his 21 race wins to driving with Ferrari at their 2007 World Championship win, to my all-time favorite Kimi moment, his retirement at Monaco, where he walked off the track, onto his yacht, and hopped in his jacuzzi for the rest of the race. Classic Kimi. But really, we all know we're going to miss his prolonged yet prolific awkward silences the most. Mercedes' Valtteri Bottas will be taking his seat at Alfa Romeo in 2022. Next up are the two Williams drivers, Nicholas Latifi and George Russell, who ended Williams' 2-year point drought at the Hungaroring, where Nicholas Latifi took 7th and George Russell took 8th. Williams has struggled the last few years, fighting to put themselves in the midfield. At the Belgian Grand Prix, we saw George Russell had a qualifying lap of his life, putting him in P2 on the front row with Max Verstappen. It was incredible. However, the race at Spa would turn out to be devastating for the fans, memorable for George Russell, who took his first podium in second place, but the race was rained out and only counted for half points. So after a long wait and way too many Twitter posts, fans learned that George Russell will be driving alongside Lewis Hamilton for Mercedes next year. And Nicholas Latifi will be joined by Alex Albon, who's been welcomed back to Formula One with open arms. Yuki Tsunoda is our third and last rookie of the year. He joined F1 as the first Japanese driver since 2012. And in his debut race, Yuki finished P9 and became the first rookie to score points on his debut since Stoffel Van Dorn in 2016. F1's head of racing, Ross Brawn, said that he is the best rookie F1 has had for years. Currently, he sits at 14th place, having secured 18 points for AlphaTauri so far in his rookie season. At the start of 2021, Racing Point rebranded itself as Aston Martin after Lawrence Stroll, or Papa Stroll as I refer to him, purchased the F1 team and the manufacturer. So throughout the season, Lance Stroll, his son, has struggled a little bit and might be most well known this year thanks to a clip of him running over a curb at Monaco, which has now been turned into a meme. His teammate, four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel, left Ferrari after 6 seasons. Sebastian led Aston Martin to their first podium in Azerbaijan, taking second place. Later in the season in Hungary, Sebastian Vettel would finish the race in second place, but unfortunately he was disqualified for not having enough fuel in his tank to complete the mandatory fuel sample testing that happens at the end of every race for every driver in every car. Both Lance Stroll and Sebastian Vettel will keep their seats in 2022. Papa Stroll has expressed excitement for the upcoming changes of the 2022 season and has promised that these changes would lead them to be a top contender in years to come. What we've seen from Lawrence and the Aston Martin team is really in the long game to be a champion in the next couple of years. We also had another rebrand where Renault is now under the name Alpine. Esteban Ocon was retained from 2020 and would prove not only to himself, but also to all of F1 that he deserves a seat by securing his first P1 in Hungary, after maintaining the lead and finishing ahead of both champions Vettel and Hamilton. It was incredible to watch. Previously, he lost his Racing Point seat and sat out for the 2019 season before joining the French-owned team. Fernando Alonso made his return to F1 after a 2-year retirement from the sport. The 2-time world champion returned to Alpine, and he is currently the only driver on the grid with no penalty points on his super license, which is the disciplinary system that F1 uses when drivers misbehave. This is Fernando Alonso's highest points total since leaving Ferrari in 2014. Up next, we have one of my all-time favorites, AlphaTauri's Pierre Gasly, who continues to remind us that he is the most underrated driver on the grid with phenomenal race results considering the car he's driving. He has finished 8 races in the top 10 with a 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 2 6th-place finishes. He battled Charles Leclerc at the end of Azerbaijan to take his 3rd ever podium. AlphaTauri have set their goal to finish 5th in the Constructors' Cup this year, and Pierre is doing everything he can with his most successful Formula One season to make that goal a reality for the team. Up next, we have another favorite of mine, Daniel Ricciardo. It is his first season at McLaren after leaving Renault. It started rocky. In the first race, he was taken out after a collision in the first 5 laps. And throughout the first half of the season, he just really struggled to get comfortable in the car. He was unable to find the pace that his teammate was setting. But he fought through and things seemed to click after the summer break. In an incredible performance at our last race weekend in Monza, we saw the return of the Daniel Ricciardo shoey. And if you don't know what the shoey is, it's when Daniel takes his boot or his shoe off, fills it up with champagne, drinks from it, and then proceeds to force everyone else up on the podium to do the same. He started P2 in the race on Sunday after an outstanding performance in the sprint race. Not only did Danny Ricciardo, the Australian honey badger, take home P1, but he also led McLaren to a 1-2 finish, giving the team their first win since 2012. Moving on to our other 3rd place in the Constructors' Cup contender, Ferrari. Currently, the teammates sit at 6th and 7th in the standings, and Ferrari is completely focused on returning the Scuderia to championship status. Ferrari has gone on record to say that the success of the 2022 car is their highest priority after the past 2 years of poor performance. Sitting just 8.5 points behind his teammate, we have Charles Leclerc, who has been reminding us all that he is one of the top drivers in F1 with 2 pole positions and an impressive drive in Silverstone where he held off Lewis Hamilton for 50 laps. Charles' year has not been without heartbreak. At Monaco, he took pole after crashing in the final minutes of qualifiers, which caused massive damage and prevented him from competing in his home Grand Prix. His teammate Carlos Sainz is pushing himself and the car in his first year as a Ferrari driver during his 7th F1 season. As one of the hardest working drivers on the grid, he quickly adapted to Ferrari, finding his race pace. He took his 3rd and 4th career podiums and first Ferrari podium in Monaco. Carlos wants more and still believes this doesn't feel like it's his strongest season. As he continues to push, it'll be interesting to see the performance he can get out of that Ferrari. Sergio Perez is in 5th and arguably the best second-seat driver that Red Bull has had in the past 2 years. He's also the first Red Bull driver since 2007 to join the team not from the Red Bull Junior team. In Bahrain, the first race of the season, Perez battled from last to 5th after starting in the pit lane for stalling out on the last turn of the formation lap. He won his 2nd Grand Prix and first with Red Bull in Azerbaijan, scoring some great points for the team. He will continue with Red Bull next year, making him the only driver to remain in the 2nd seat for more than a year. Up next, we have Lando Norris, who's been an absolute G this whole season as arguably the most consistent driver, as the only driver to score points in each of the first 11 races. He has been battling Valtteri Bottas for 3rd in the Constructors' Cup all season, and we expect more podiums from him before the end of the year, following his 2nd place podium in Monza. Up next is our Finn, Valtteri Bottas, who has had a whirlwind of a season. In Imola, he had a wheel-to-wheel clash with George Russell, who is going to go on and take his seat for the 2022 season. To the longest pit stop in Formula history at 43 hours and 15 minutes, which obviously forced Bottas into retirement when his front right tire refused to come off. And to even further at Hungary, where he misjudged the braking into turn 1, barreling into Norris and kickstarting multiple collisions to eliminate 4 other drivers. And most recently to Monza, where he fought his way to 3rd after starting at the back of the grid due to his 5th power unit change. For the past 5 years, he has been teammate to Lewis Hamilton, and I am so excited to see where his F1 career goes, moving to Alfa Romeo next year. And finally, we get to the good part, the drama, the battle for first in the Drivers' Championship, which has led to some brutal on- and off-track racing by not only Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, but also their respective team principals, Toto Wolff and Christian Horner. Red Bull were the favorites going into Bahrain, the first race of the season, after an impressive showing in their pre-season practice. However, Mercedes pulled off 3 wins in the first 5 races, giving Max even more reason to show us what he can do. By the end of the 5th race of the year, Red Bull took the lead thanks to a Max Verstappen win in Monaco. Since then, the two have been fighting wheel-to-wheel for points. At the first sprint of the year at Silverstone, Verstappen took pole with a P1. On Sunday, in the first lap, the two rivals collided, forcing Max to retire, and as a result, Lewis was given a 10-second stop-and-go penalty to be served on his pit stop. In the end, Lewis would go on to win his home race, increasing the lead and the intensity of the rivalry. This past weekend in Monza led to the second nasty collision, with Max's Red Bull skating across the top of Lewis Hamilton's Mercedes. If it wasn't for the halo, Lewis Hamilton would be in a world of hurt, if not dead. The FIA found Max predominantly responsible, handing him a 3-place grid penalty for the next race. And again, this collision increased the tension, which has only been heightened after the race over a discussion between in-race penalties and out-of-race penalties due to the difference in what the drivers were awarded. Regardless, this incident is another confirmation that, like I mentioned earlier, the halo is a life-saving measure that is a necessity. Right now, Max Verstappen, who is sitting at 226.5 points, leads the championship by just 5 points, putting Lewis Hamilton in second. This weekend brings us to Sochi, Russia, where Mercedes has commanded the track, winning the past 7 races that have been held there. Will they have the advantage with Max Verstappen's penalty? The fight continues with just 8 races left in the 2020 season. Who will take third in the Constructors' Cup, Ferrari or McLaren? Will Mercedes win their 8th Constructors' Cup in a row? Or will Lewis Hamilton be dethroned, and will the Orange Army celebrate a Verstappen victory with his first championship? Only time and 8 more races will tell.
Thank you so much for listening to another episode. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us at Dirty Driving Pod on Twitter and Instagram.
Until next time, stay dirty.